Indianapolis is the racing capital of the world, and when you think of the 500, the name Paul Page should also come to mind. His broadcast career is legendary. Recently, I had the pleasure of visiting this gifted motorsport announcer. And now on Great Day TV, we are at the home of the legendary Paul Page here, who always says,
"It's race day in Indianapolis."
Legendary announcer for the race. You love racing. Let's start with the basics. Why do you love racing?
I didn't. I'm a military brat, and my parents, when we were based in Germany in the early 50s, took me to a Formula One race. And it was long, and it was, so when I ended up on the North Shore of Chicago at Fort Sheridan, Illinois, they said, "We want you to go down and see the 500-mile race." And I had kin here. I had a great uncle here, and he wanted to take me. And I was like, "Oh no, not another race!" And coming to the 500, the race hadn't started, and I was totally into it. Just the ceremonies got me, and then the race was 1960, so it was Ward and Rathman. It was just an incredible race to boot. So that hooked you. I'm going to be part of that.
You're going to be part of it. Okay. Well, you certainly have the voice for it. Did you always have the voice? Did you train for it?
No. It just
that's just natural.
It's natural. Yeah.
It's certainly. Even I can hear you completely. So that's good. That's great. Good. So then, when did you start doing it professionally, announcing?
Well, when I got out of the service, about 21, I came back to Indianapolis, and I was looking for a job, don't tell my mother, as a disc jockey. She just hated that idea. But I could only land news jobs. I had a couple. For example, I had a program called Jazz Flight 805. On the old WAIV, which has changed call letters. Yeah. But the program kind of survives. It was a jazz program at night. I ended up at WIBC, and I was in the news department there as a mobile news guy out in the field, and of course Sid Collins, the voice of the 500, was there.
He was your mentor, right?
Yes. And one day, in fact, I'm so proud because I've interviewed the Soapbox Derby winner. And I brought the tape back and I put it on the air, and I came out after it aired, and Sid was standing in the hall, and he's just looking at me. Yeah. And he shakes his head and says, "That's the worst interview I have ever heard." Then he took me in the back and started teaching me his craft. So I got a doctorate's degree in broadcast journalism from Sid. But at the end of every session, he would say, "Now, we don't have any room on the radio network for you, so don't expect that to happen." And then finally, he brought me on the network in '74, and he made me, he was my mentor, and told me a year later that I would be doing the race in '77. We originally intended to hand it off in the middle of the race, but of course he took his own life just a couple days earlier.
Yeah, well, he had some, at that time, incurable disease.
Yeah, he had ALS, and just, it's so sad because he was such a vital human being.
That is too bad.
He did so much.
So now, here you are. How many decades have you been doing the race then? 50, something like that?
Well, let's see. I don't do arithmetic on camera very well, but I started doing it for the radio network in 73, and then in some form or another ever since then, to this day.
To this day. And Indianapolis 500 that just passed, you're still a part of it.
Yeah, and it's fun to sit in the booth and try and figure out what they were going to do, and I love the intrigue of the tactics and the strategy, and today I think back to how the different things came to happen, and then I make notes, and next year I'd do the same thing.
So some things have changed dramatically, some things haven't changed at all. The competition,
the competition this year is fierce. I mean, there are some amazing race drivers out there.
Stay tuned. More with the legendary racing announcer and analyst Paul Page when we return.